Okay, I think we are in business. We've just sorted a few things out. I'll just fade out there, Mr. Murray. Where are you, Mr. Murray? You're on this one. Yeah, there we go. And welcome, folks. Welcome to our test missions. I don't really need to preface it with the test missions description anymore. Well, perhaps I will for the time being. But how are you, Frank?
Very well, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, I was listening to you on 40.
Oh, yes.
Well, you were doing a simulcast. I should explain to those who haven't heard you.
Yes, indeed.
And you'll no doubt tell us more about that.
Yeah.
And he's sounding great.
Oh, that's encouraging. That's
20
good.
over?
Yeah, nice to hear. Yes, just 20 watts on 40 metres. And
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Frank. Yeah, I've been trying.
What antenna are you using?
Well, it's a dipole, and it's sort of cut to the length, and it's just, it's a new system, and it's only about 9 metres up. And look, I put it up during the holidays quite recently, and it seems to be doing its job.
What power are you running?
Oh, just about
25 watts, you say?
Yeah, about 25 watts, thereabouts, no more. And 40 metres is the new aspect to the program. We're sort of trying out new things, and I was actually experimenting quite a bit with another 40 metre transmitter today, and it was working perfectly into the dummy load. This is earlier on this afternoon. This is the Codan system. I used to use it for when I was doing FM missions, and so I reconfigured it and had it set up for this, and it was working superbly. Then it would suddenly stop, and then I put it onto a dummy load, and it'd be perfect. And then when I put it back onto the antenna, there's some loading issue.
That's a bit of a matching here.
Yeah, some matching problem. I have to get my mind around that one. So I'll have to...
You've got a little tuner you can...
Well, look, that's a possibility. I could probably put a tuner in. It's just a little bit... this other transmitter is probably a little bit more robust. It's geographically further away from the operational side of things, so maybe that's a better way to go ultimately if I can reconcile this problem. But
audio quality is very good anyway.
Yeah, so presently I'm just using the... what is it? It's a Kenwood TS440S, and look, it's got a fan on the heat sink, and I'm only running 25 watts of AM, and it's sort of, you've got to be a bit deliberate about this so that you don't get the ALC chiming in and turning it into sideband,
that's right.
which tends to be a bit of a problem with these. So you have to calibrate them quite finely, but
they're not essentially made for AM, are they?
No,
really?
not really. And but look, I know that Mr. Stew's done extensive stress tests on his setup, and he's got them working superbly.
He certainly has.
Yeah, and so there's no reason why this shouldn't be fine with a fan on it. So, but I thought it would be good to try a secondary system, or whatever. And so that's on the cards. We're always experimenting.
Well done, anyway.
Thank you for that, Frank. Yeah, I'm glad. Well, the most important thing is that it's no longer muting the VHF crossband input. So, that's a significant development. That was the initial problem, that it was
getting cross interference.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. The only thing is that the crow has died. The horizontal trace is tuttled. So I can't at this point. I can't properly monitor my 160 missions out in the garage. But
who knows what will happen at the Moorabbin?
Yes, that's right. Yes, indeed. We'll wait and see. We'll see if we can find a good solution for that.
Anyway, you have a three-way simulcast.
Yeah, so that's a good thing, isn't it? And also we have our program on running
on YouTube.
On YouTube as well. So yes, we have a digital platform. Yeah, so it's 4 ways within a suburban block. It's not too bad. So we're about 100 watts out on 160, about 25 watts out on 40, and I think about 50 out on UHF. It's on 437.475. So I think it's all more or less working as it should. There is still room for improvement, but I'll keep working on it. And if I can get this other 40 meter system in working, that'd be a real bonus. It works superbly for about 20 minutes, then suddenly shuts off, and I can't do anything about it. It's a bit sort of intermittent and hard to work out exactly what's going on.
Knock up a little matching system. It's only for 25 watts, so it wouldn't need to be large capacitors or anything.
No, it's got a filter, I think, these Codan. This was a customized Codan emitters that Mr. Stu helped me with.
All right.
And it was set up for 160, so I'm wondering if the filtering is getting in the way and it just gets to it overheats.
You could just short that out.
Yeah, possibly. That's right. But I've got to be. I was testing this afternoon to see if I was getting any harmonics. I was wondering if it was getting out on double or negative, and but no, it wasn't. But anyhow, that's it's all work in progress. We're trying to refine things, and it's a lot of static on 40 at the moment.
Yes, it certainly is.
And probably on 160 as well. It's just
not so much.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah, because you're listening on 160, of course.
Mm.
Yeah. So how's your day been, Frank?
It's been very good. I've been doing emails to various people about various things that I've been putting off because they're either too boring or too hard.
I know that.
I've kind of knocked a few of them over, so I'm quite pleased.
Yes, it's always what I suffer from procrastination, and then once you get the job done, it's this overwhelming feeling of relief.
That's right.
When you've actually ticked the box.
In fact, that's one of the main goals, is to think to yourself how good it's going to be when you've done
Yes, that's a good strategy. I like it. That's the way to do it. Yeah. So yeah, we had our program last night, but I'm intrigued because it didn't seem to go out on YouTube last night, and I thought it did, but for some reason something stopped. So I'll be sort of checking to see if we have success today, this afternoon, and I might be able to put the log up on YouTube of last night's program just for the sake of completeness, but for at a later time. But I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe I just forgot to initiate. But it's a constant battle with these computers and their updates. They're constantly updating. And I think Windows 10 finishes its support fairly soon. So
any minute, I think.
Yeah, I have to weigh up that one, whether or not it's worth just keeping on going, or whether or not I'm presenting a risk here.
One of my two main computers can't be upgraded to 11 because it hasn't got a suitable CPU.
Right. Yes. It needs the extra grunt, doesn't it?
It does.
To get you there. Yeah. Anyhow, well...
I'm not sure whether it's so much a grunt issue as a configuration issue, but whatever it is, it can't do it anyway.
Yeah.
I've got lots of memory. I've got, it's about 10 years old, but I got 16 gig of memory, of computer memory.
So you've got plenty of RAM.
Plenty of RAM, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it boils down to processing speed and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, sure.
That can be the issue.
Anyway, I'll still keep it going.
Yeah, fair enough. There's always a use for things, and most of the systems here have a fairly low yield, so they're not really doing much. I mean, most of the computer's working towards the operating system, keeping it going, but the applications themselves are fairly minimal. So but I've had a fun afternoon because every so often I like to sort of find a window of 2 or 3 hours to complete a project, sort of a doable project. And today I recapped an old Healing portable radio. It's one that Mr. Fleming very kindly passed my way.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, it's a lovely portable set from about late 1940s, and they're beautiful sets. And it's a battery set, so I just strapped together 10 9-volt batteries for the 90-volt high tension, and the filament voltage is only 1.5 volts. But so I put together some D cells and strapped a couple together, so it has a.
That's for the A side.
Yeah, that's right, for the A, for the just for the filaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just a recap exercise, but it was a very tight. The capacitors were very, very tightly positioned, the old one. So I had to. I took lots of photos because it's very easy to make mistakes with this sort of thing, and I had to unsolder a whole lot of components on the first layer in order to get to the second layer. So it was quite a process, but I'm pleased it worked straight away. So that's a relief, and it works really well. It's got an 8-inch speaker, which is just marvelous, and it sounds really, really good. I was listening to Steam Radio this afternoon.
Excellent.
That was good.
Would you take it portable or?
Well, I'd like to. It would be fun. It would be nice to do that. It's cosmetically in beautiful condition, so it's got good prospect for that. And so next time we have a picnic or something, it might be fun to just bring it along.
My first portable radio was a Philips.
Oh, yes.
This is back in the day.
Yeah.
The early days, back in the 50s.
Yes.
And the batteries cost about a week's wages. That was
gracious me.
It took 2 Bs and a big A, which was about 8 sort of torch batteries in series, in parallel.
Okay, yeah. All right, so yes, I think you do need a fair bit of, I think the current draw is fairly high for the A cell to keep the heaters going.
Yeah, I know.
But high tension's not so bad. A lot of them ran with two 45-volt batteries in
Well,
series.
the Philips did. That's what it had.
Yeah. In fact, Mr. Fleming passed on two sets. Another one is a Philips, or I think it's a Mullard version of a Philips 111, I think it is, and it's a oval. So it's quite nice Art Deco styling, and that set. I'd like to work on next, but it's going to be quite a job because I have to redo the string for the dials broken.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it's a hassle because you got to really thread the thing and get it all tensioning right, and then get it all centered and stuff. So, but look, it'll be an exercise and another project for another rainy day. So it should be good. Yeah. So I always enjoy having an extra little challenge here and there like that. They're not particularly difficult challenges. Replacing capacitors is no rocket science, but it is very satisfying when everything wakes up and sounds good. So I didn't. I should have gone through and tested all the resistors as well. I'm sure some of them are very high, but the tolerance. Component tolerances and those things are fairly wide, so you can get away with being, not too interventionist with the process. Yeah, but the old wax paper capacitors tend to be problematic. So it's good measure to change that, especially the grid coupling caps, because otherwise you can create all sorts of problems.
About the valves, are they all right? Obviously they are.
Yeah. I can't remember the valve lineup. I did have it listed. Yeah, they're good. They're just little miniature valves.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of compact little set, but directly heated, so you just switch the thing on and bang, it works.
Straight on. Yeah, I know.
It's amazing. It's quite
such a contrast back in the days of waiting 30 seconds after you turn the AC on.
Indeed, absolutely. Yeah. So it's all happening. So things are moving in the right direction.
Well done.
Yeah. Anyhow.
vk3JR working vk3sl.
Yes, test missions on 160 and on 40, and oh gosh, I'm getting a bit of something. I think I'm getting some oscillations. What's going on here? Bear with me. I might just turn it might go down a little bit on 40. That might be better. Yeah, look, I've got the SDR. I'm actually monitoring on the SDR from SDR in the Ironstone range in South Australia.
Oh yeah, how are you coming through?
Oh, it's perfect. It's really good.
Yeah.
Except for the static crashes, it's really good.
Of course.
Yeah, but it seems I'm getting a bit of intermittent oscillation, so I might just investigate that on our next round. Yeah. So all right, let's get. Yes, I can hear. I'm getting some sort of feedies back going on here. So yes, there are interactions. I'm going to have to sort of study this. It's intermittent, but I might just wind the mic gain down a bit on the next track. So how about we have a record, and I'll deal with that. So what do we have? We have a recording of, I think it's Alfonso Trent and his band from about 1926. It's on an Electra Beam record. Let's see. Yes, I think it's called Walking with Susie.
Who's the little honey that's you, baby? Take a blushing rosy and the cutest nosy. Who's the little rosy? That's you, baby. You are perfection, a truity. After inspection, I can see you for me. Take a bashful baby and a little maybe. Who's the little baby? That's you.
Okay, there we have Alfonso Trent and his band. And on an Electro Beam disc. These records were made for the Coles outlets, I think. That's the background there.
Right.
Yeah, and it's from the movie Tone Follies of 1929. You get that classic carbon mark sound. I'm still dealing with what sounds like it's either crickets in the garden or something that's sort of in my midst. I don't know.
There are a lot of crickets around.
Yeah, it could be that. I'm going to just keep checking on this. It looks okay on the SDR and everything's... I'm not getting any obvious parasitics, but there may be something I need to check in on. I might just drop 40 momentarily on the next one to see if I can hear any difference, just to check in. Of course, these things always work well when you're testing them in less acute circumstances. when you come to when it comes to the crunch, there's things, the problems sort of start to happen. But when you at least want them to.
And the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I like that one. Yeah, all right. Well, look, we'll play the other side. I'm just sort of working with this, and we'll see what else we can achieve. Okay, it's side B is Alfonso Trent again, and these the name of this track from the same film, the movie Tone Follies of 1929. It's called "That's You, Baby." Is the name of the track. So we'll.
Lots of babies.
Yeah, baby was the go back in the day.
Well, it still is, actually.
I totally agree.
Who's the little honey? That's you, baby. Take a blushing rosy and the cutest nosy. Who's the little rosy? That's you, baby. You are perfection, a truity. After inspection, I can see you me. Take a bashful baby and a little maybe. Who's the little baby? That's you.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think it's crickets, I think.
Good, that's good.
I think so. We dropped off for a bit.
They're much more easily got rid of than
yeah.
radio fault.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, have to constantly check things out. But yeah, it's all right. My high frequency hearing is just not as good as it used to be.
Really?
But yeah, I think
you can notice it, can
I
you?
can. I just haven't got the same. Yeah, things haven't got the same presence as they had. I think I'm still pretty good to about 12, 13.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Up to there, but I used to be able to hear much higher. And
I used to be able to hear the line oscillator noise in
did you?
tubes. Yeah, it used to drive me mad. I'd go into Myers.
Yes.
My mum would be shopping. I'd say, oh, God.
Yes, you'd hear it. Oh, God, en masse like that. Imagine going to a TV store.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, that would have been a nightmare. Yeah, for young ears. Oh, well, the natural roll-off.
The problem disappeared in about 3 weeks. It was quite remarkable, really. It went from all to nothing.
Yeah.
It was obviously a threshold thing.
Sure. Isn't it interesting? How
It was very interesting how quickly it disappeared.
Okay, so it just must have been just a certain place, a certain resonant point or something.
Yeah,
that,
that's right.
that got you there.
Anyway, I think I'm up to about 12 now at best.
Okay, yeah, sure. I did have a test. One of the schools I teach at actually offer free tests for the staff, music staff, and I do that each year. And
Good.
I was it was pretty good to about 12, 13, barely above that. But I think you have to precondition a little bit to. I find that there's a sort of inbuilt compression.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know, there's some sort of residual thing going on, and sometimes I need little quiet to be able to listen well.
Yeah, that's right.
And when you're in a queue and you're shoved into this booth, I don't think there's a lot of settling.
The environment's not right, is it?
Yeah, but anyhow.
I tell you when I really notice it, it's when I'm listening to live strings.
Oh yes, interesting.
They used to have a lovely sheen on them.
Yeah.
I think you know what
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
And that's mostly gone now.
Interesting.
I was thinking about it when I was at the St John Passion.
Yeah. Just that edge, that rosin edge that you get from strings, the overtones from the gut strings too.
It's amazing how much you need live music to sort of recalibrate your hearing.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. Yeah,
I mean, you forget how good it can be.
Yeah,
when you're hearing good quality recorded stereo.
Yeah. It's interesting that so little is truly live these days.
Yeah, that's right.
Sound reinforcement is just about everywhere now.
Yeah.
So many concerts. If you go to the opera, there's always sound reinforcement, and there's a subtle rebalancing, and even a lot of things. The concerts I hear at the recital centre, there's just a slight sort of. I don't know, extra ambience or support ambience. I mean, they do it very well. It doesn't sound artificial, but very often you hear it. And certainly with school concerts, it's all about smoke and mirrors. So they use they use sound reinforcement for a different purpose to sort of make it sound better.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I question how much better, but but I suppose our ears sort of become also, it depends on what you're listening to mostly. You probably develop a certain prejudice. I know that sort of mid-range being the instruments that I play means I'm far more sort of alert to that mid-range.
Sure.
But and of course listening to 78s all the time with a roll off at about 5k. But I do notice it though when 78s are heavily rolled off, like when they're brick walled at 5k. I really notice a difference between when there's some sort of air present.
Yep.
And I was fiddling around with the EQ last night when we played that strings program with Marjorie Stedford.
Oh yeah.
And I was sort of mucking around with the EQ while we were listening to it, and I was able to find a much happier balance. So, and I was only really fiddling with the 14k slider on the graphic. So that was the arbiter there, and I was able to get a much nicer tonal blend for my ears at least.
Lovely.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
The other big area of notice is the edge of transients,
Right. Yes.
Guitar picking and bells.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. That's
Percussive things.
Yes, that's right. That edge, that articulation edge that you get, and the transients, as you say. Yeah, and no, it's a fascinating. I think timbre is so intrinsically aligned with all of this as well. So it's a hard thing to differentiate, and our ears very quickly adjust and optimize any situation. That's why testing loudspeakers is a bit of a folly, really, because I think we condition very quickly. And I think that's why there's so much snake oil with expensive hi-fi.
No, I think I told you of the test that I do with notching out a specific frequency.
Oh, tell me again. I've forgotten this.
And you can very easily with a radio notch out a frequency, or you can with some. Yeah. And a very narrow notch.
Yeah.
And you miss it for about 10 seconds, and then you don't miss it at all, or I don't.
Yeah.
And if you put it back about 30 seconds later, it predominates. It sticks out like the proverbials.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It is so interesting. It says everything, really. It just shows how we are basically natively adapted to whatever is familiar in the moment. And then, and we calibrate very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah. And I think that's why high-end hi-fi, I think, is all a bit of a folly. Really.
It totally is.
It really is.
It's a take.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing I know that the experience that I hold closest to me is because some years ago when we were sort of in our Saturday night missions mode, I was doing a lot of speaker testing with Mr. Stew, and that was at the time when he got his RCA speakers, and I've got a pair here as well, and he's got a few, and he had them in those enormous cabinets. And what they did was they created like a subsonic, like a rumble, which really emulated the live venue, and it had some psychoacoustic effect on me, and it was so present. It was so alive. It really felt like a live performance.
Boy, that would be so good to have.
Yeah, it was really powerful, and I'll never forget that experience. And I also made some recordings of myself playing. I played some Bach into a recorder and then played it back through Mr. Stew's system.
Yeah.
And listened back to it, and it was really interesting to hear my own playing and knowing what I hear with the instrument close to me. Because you hear, an instrument like a cello, you hear the edge because the strings are right next to your ear.
Yep.
But most of what you hear is second reflection, because the sound sort of comes out, or you feel the vibrations. So that's another huge area in itself, just the visceral aspect of it.
Yeah.
But you hear so much on the second reflection as well. So but hearing it sort of first reflection from the speakers was quite a different experience, and quite illuminating. I know that Henry records himself all the time.
Does he?
All the time. Everything he does, records, listens back, because there's so much extra. And Kate does the same. She does it with her even with her phone.
Boy.
She can hear things differently from even a metre or two away, because when the instrument's coupled to you, when it's sort of a part of you, so to speak, you're actually getting that. Your bones are resonating with all at the same.
Yeah.
And everything is, you feel it. You feel the buzz. I know that when I play the cello, the instrument, but the back of the instrument buzzes against my chest, and I feel the buzz in my fingers. I feel it's a very tactile experience.
There's a type of earphone that you can get, which blind people use a lot. That it works on bone conduction.
Really?
Specifically designed not to block your ear channel.
How about that? Oh, what's it like? Tell me about it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't get hi-fi from it.
No.
It's designed for giving information.
Yes.
Informational stuff.
Yes.
And the reason it's used is that it doesn't block the ears, which are very important for echolocation and stuff like that.
Yes, of course, spatial, location stuff. Yeah, I can understand. How about that? That's fascinating. I think some time ago we talked about Evelyn Glennie, the percussionist.
Oh God, she is a miracle. I don't believe in, but she just is. I don't know how she does that.
Yeah, I got to meet her. I think I told you years ago, back in the 90s, when I was having music lessons in London. I got to meet Evelyn Glennie, and I heard her in concert. And she was walking on the stage barefoot. She had all her all these percussion instruments, a great range of percussion instruments, including mallets, including all of the the orchestral percussion instruments, a vast range. She was playing a contemporary work, complex work.
Yeah.
But she was feeling it all through the stage. There was an elevated stage, so there was a direct coupling to the floor, to this elevated floor, and yes, she was feeling it, and that was her sort of primary way of sort of understanding her, her playing.
Yeah. Does she have speech?
Yes, she's got very sort of, like a lot of deaf people, a rather sort of exaggerated way of speaking.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yes. So she's got some hearing, but it's very, it's not
not useful hearing.
It's not particularly, no. So it's done mostly by feel. There's some great interviews with her. In fact, there's a TED Talk with her. We should play it. We should feature
I'd
it
love
on.
to hear that.
I'm going to write it on my list now, and I'll look it up, and we'll feature it on a Friday program. Evelyn Glennie. Yeah, she's a force of nature, that woman. She's marvellous, and she's just got so much personality and presence, and she's one of these people who's always exploring and got this fertile imagination. Amazing musician. Yeah, so that's there's all sorts of fascinating aspects to the acoustic experience. I know that it was a very big thing in the 50s to give loudspeaker demonstrations in big venues. I know that Mr. Briggs did this, and Harry Olsen did concerts, and I know Harry Olsen's concerts featured the same speakers I mentioned before, and he'd have 12 of them lined up on the stage, and he'd have the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and he'd have a veil.
Yes.
And
can you tell the difference?
And people couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's fascinating, isn't it?
It sure is.
And so that just shows at distance in a big venue, when you're sort of dealing with large dynamics, it's very, very different experience working in a room. You can't compare it to working in a small room or in a household. I think in a domestic environment, we're really up against it when you've got a small room with a low ceiling and
that's right,
and standing waves everywhere because you've got
behind the 8-ball.
Yeah, but I noticed that the new con, and I'm particularly aware of this because Kate and Henry have been recording themselves a lot lately at the con, and this is the new building that they've only finished in the last 10 years. Every room has got is asymmetrical.
Really? So, deliberately to avoid resonances.
Exactly, to avoid standing waves and spurious resonances. So you get this sort of really you get a much truer sound. And of course, that's the genius of the recital centre, because they've got all these multi layers and sort of offset detailing in the walls, which means that no frequency is can be affected by standing waves directly anyhow. So you get a very even sound no matter where you're sitting in the hall. So I think acoustic research has sort of come in leaps and bounds, and our sort of big venues are just superb. But to emulate that in a small room is next to impossible. It's really, really hard. In fact, I think one of the truest sounds in some ways is using the one-note gramophone with a very soft needle.
Yeah.
And there's no frequency extremes at all, so you're losing that. But it sounds present. It just sounds present, and because I think it's something to do with the direct coupling with that system. It's very interesting. Long as you don't get sort of really nasty resonances in the sound box. So I think stuff that the ear can't handle.
Yes.
But it's such an interesting subject. So I know that a lot of string players, and I can testify to this, I've done it myself, like to play on little platforms. And so particularly cellists, when you've got a direct coupling to the floor with your end peg, with your spike, because cellists have to play with the spike to keep the instrument supported. And so that is a direct coupling to the floor. And if you have a concrete floor or a hard floor, you really notice that the instrument's just doesn't feel like it's responding as well.
Sure.
So, but I noticed...
Yes, you need a little bit of... That's why wood is so good, I think.
Yeah, it is. That's right. And these little platforms, they're very shallow. They're only about 6 inches high, or a bit more. And they just raise particularly the back players so they can see the conductor, but they also allow the instrument to breathe, so metaphorically. So, that's another interesting one. But, this is a topic of constant of fascination. I would love to have been with the best engineers in the acoustic era or in the very early electric era, where they had so many problems to work with, and they must have been masters of working with the room, with the space, in order to get a agreeable result. It's interesting. I know that vk3sl, in one of his biographies, said he made recordings in the 30s where the engineers had the soloist and the accompanist in different parts of the room.
Really?
And
they must have known what they were doing.
Yes, I think there was a bit of a dark art, and I think it just came through experimenting. Or when I say dark art, it was all about understanding the idiosyncrasies of a particular room and the resonant properties of the microphones and things they were using. So in order to get a good sound. But I do think the native sound on a lot of 78s is so good. It's so solid. It's a mono sound, but it's a very solid, well-balanced sound in many instances.
Yes, it is.
So but I suppose I'm a bit prejudiced. Yeah, that's another thing. Psychoacoustics, I'm the first one to put my hand up and say that I'm easily duped. I easily fall into my own echo chamber. But anyway. All right, this one is, I know this record sounds good. Because I've played it and enjoyed it in the past. It's a recording of Leo Reisman and the orchestra, and the vocal artist is none other than Fred Astaire.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's from his second film, The Gay Divorcee, which I think he made with Ginger Rogers in 1934, early 1934. So, it's a bit of a classic, but my memory of this is that it's quite well recorded.
my mind. Although I'm disinclined, you're not so hot, but I've got you on my mind. I'd thank the gods above if I could only love somebody not you, but I've got you on my mind. Let my poor upset leisure be, otherwise my pet treasure be, then arrange to let pleasure be a bit less refined. For darling, not until I get that famous thrill will I be resigned. I've got you on my mind.
From the film The Gay Divorcee, which came out in 1934, and that was Fred Astaire with Leo Russman and the band. From the film. Yeah, all those Fred Astaire films are great. Great value.
Yeah.
Good fun.
He's a real artist, wasn't he?
Yeah, he could sort of turn himself to anything, really. He just had that innate musicianship where he could, it doesn't matter if he didn't have the best tone in his voice, he was able to, to cut it. It's a pity they didn't put all his records. Ginger Rogers didn't get much of a Guernsey.
No, she didn't really. I think she could sing.
Oh, she could. She could sing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a pity that they didn't release many. There's a few. There's a great recording of her singing the Torch song from the 1933 film, The Gold Diggers of 33. I'll see if I can find that.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear. Well, I'll look it up, and I'll play. While doing so, I'll play side B of this, which is this is a song everyone will know, and this is the original of this, and it's Night and Day.
Oh, you are the one.
Yeah, that's it, and of course, this is the music of Cole Porter.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is from the film.
Like the beat, beat, beat of the tom-tom when the jungle shadows fall. Like the tick, tick, tock of the stately clock as it stands against the wall. Like the drip, drip, drip of the raindrops when the summer shower is through. So a voice within me keeps repeating you, night and day. You are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are, I think of you. night and day and night. Why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? In the roaring traffic's boom, in the silence of my lonely room, I think of you night and day, under the hide of me. There's an oh such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and its torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day.
Go. That's a Cole Porter song that's well and truly etched into our imaginations, and that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And it was good. I was looking up some ginger. We got to compliment Fred with ginger, and one of my favourite recordings of her is from the film that preceded the one we just heard. This is a film called Rolling Down to Rio, or Flying Down to Rio, and set in South America. It's a pre-code film. It's the film that sort of brought them both together, and they both got sort of subordinate parts in this film. The film features other actresses and actors is in the main roles, but they have a couple of cameos, and it really, the chemistry is just amazing. But she sings this song near the beginning of the film called "Music Makes Me," and it's so sensuous. It's so full of sensuous charm, and she's just beguiling. I fall in love with her when I watch this. It's amazing. So we've got it lined up. The words are amazing too, and she's wearing a very revealing outfit. She's very young, I should say. I don't think she's even 20 when this was made, but but look, this is classic early Ginger Rogers. And I have to play this. I do play this quite often because I get captivated by this wonderful spirit that she went on and won Academy Awards and did incredible things and lived right up until recent times. But here is where it all began.
For your pleasure is our first selection, Music Makes Me, with a complete vocalization by that charming, bubbling, effervescent little lady, Miss Honey Hale. Contact.
Is my crime. It seems a sin I've got to give in, syncopated time. It makes me lose my dignity, it makes me lose my poise. Some folks call it music, my folks call it noise. I like music, old and new. What music makes me do, the things I never should do. Oh, I like music, sweet and blue. What music makes me do, the things I never should do. My self-control was something to brag about, now it's a gag about town. The things I do are never forgiven, and just when I'm living them down. I hear music, then I'm through, 'cause music makes me do the things I never should do. I like music, I like it old, I like it new, but it makes me do the things I never should do. I like music, I like it sweet, I like it blue, but it makes me do the things I never should do. My self-control was something to brag about, now it's a gag about town. The things I do are never forgiven, and just when I'm living them down. I hear music, then I'm through, 'cause music makes me do the things I never should do when I hear music.
And at that point we'll do a fade-o-matic because it's the end of the vocal part, and then it goes on with a dance sequence for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
it's marvellous. I think she's great. She's got so much spunk. There we go. And she also had incredible sensitivity. I'll play now. This is a tragedy because this was pulled from the film. But was released on record, limited release, after the film came out. But they cut out the sequence, sadly. It's a classic Depression song, and she sings it with such sort of poise and humility. It's wonderful. But this song, you'll hear the words, you'll hear the spirit of it. It is absolutely of its time, and the sentiments are well and truly evident. So, yeah, here we have an outtake from The Gold Diggers of 1933 featuring Ginger Rogers. I've Got to Sing a Torch Song.
A clown can laugh when he's unhappy. Sometimes I wish I were a clown. I'd like to sing away my sorrow, every frown. A mighty jingle never cheers me. I sing of love, but no one hears me. I've got to sing a torch song, 'cause that's the way I feel. When I feel a thing, then I can sing. It must be real. I couldn't sing a gay song. It wouldn't be sincere. I could never croon a happy tune without a tear. I have my dreams, but one by one they vanish in the sky. I try to smile and face the sun, but romance passes by. I've got to sing a torch song to someone far apart, for the torch I bear is burning there, right in my heart. I've got to sing a torch song, 'cause that's the way I feel. When I feel a thing, then I can sing. It must be real. I couldn't sing a gay song. It wouldn't be sincere. I could never croon a happy tune without a tear. I have my dreams, but one by one they vanish in the sky. I try to smile and face the sun, but romance passes by. I've got to sing a torch song to someone far apart, for the torch I bear is burning there, right in my heart.
There we go. That was Ginger Rogers, a song that was excised from the film, sadly.
What a shame.
Yeah, but
Sure tugs at the heartstrings, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it does. It's quite powerful, and I mean, she hasn't got a great voice or anything, but there's a feeling, there's a sense of commitment and humility, and sort of she's a beautiful person. But Depression's music always strikes a chord. And I thought it would be sort of fitting to follow that with that beautiful Bing Crosby song, which has got similar sentiment, really. Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? I know that's one of your favourites, Frank.
It is indeed.
Yeah, so let's play that as a follow-on from what we've just heard. And
Another song from the heart.
yeah, it certainly is, and he sings this beautifully too. It's great.
Yeah, read it wonderfully well.
Yeah. This is it's sort of really, it's a real time stamp, isn't it, when you hear this stuff?
It was written contemporaneously with the events. It was written in about 32 or 31.
Exactly, 1932, and yeah, totally. It's in the era, and it's very much a. It's hard to imagine the extent of the situation in today's world, but so many people were literally starving, and so let's have a listen to Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? Bing Crosby, and in 1932.
They used to tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. When there was earth to plow or guns to bear, I was always there, right on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream, with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower up to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Why don't you remember, I'm your pal. Say, buddy, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with a drum. Oh, say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Say, don't you remember, I'm your pal. Buddy, can you spare a dime?
Yeah, there we go.
Nice little tears to Piccadilly, I think.
Yes, indeed. That's right. Finishes on a major key, aspirational.
Yes.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, Bing Crosby.
It's something of a song, all right, isn't it?
Yeah, he certainly had there's a certain swagger. There's a quality to his voice. you do hear more in those early recordings. Actually, later on, you sort of softly crooned
Yeah,
most of the
he
time.
became the heart-throbby crooner.
Yeah, he
and-
did.
and
Yeah.
lost that personality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
swagger, as you say.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of something that comes from that pre-mic technique of having to project and having to really sort of find the grain in your voice. Once we sort of became mic compliant, some of that is lost in some artists. Yeah. So that was it's nice to. That was a good rabbit hole. All right, I've got another 78, but my SB10's not working. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, the power supply in this SB10, I've rebuilt so many times, and it's just I don't know. It's fraught with problems. I just don't think it was meant to last 50 years. So, yeah, it's working now, but it has to have exactly the right voltage on all the rails. Each rail, if it's 0.1 of a volt out, it'll do weird things, and it's crystal locked, and it's got all sorts of. It was state of the art in the 70s.
Yes, I imagine.
It probably cost as much as a house back then. But, decades later, it's now sort of exhibiting a few problems. Now, it did start then. That's good. So it's rotating now. So all I need to do is switch in SP10. We're on board. And it's a Hoagie Carmichael tune. It features Fat Swallow. And I think this might be a nice way to sort of follow on Rocking Chair.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to have to fade it there for a moment because this record has got stuff in the grooves and it's gumming up and it's not going to make it to the end. It's reconcilable. The record's in good condition, but sometimes the record covers they deteriorate and they deposit stuff in the grooves, and it's got to be it's got to be cleaned. It's not clean enough. Okay.
What do you use?
There's various approaches. Usually the best way is just use a toothbrush and the sink and just give it a good scrub, and that's usually fine. But this record's a mess. But I found the same recording on YouTube, so I don't really need all these 78s because it's all here on the tube.
Yeah.
But anyhow, here we go.
A bit of the romance out of it, doesn't it?
Does. Well, I like the visceral side of things, pushing buttons and queuing turntables. But look, let's hear Rocking Chair Take 2 off YouTube, nonetheless. Okay, there we go. That was the official version of the piece. It's great. It's a beautiful piece, isn't it?
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Who was playing that?
That was Fats Waller.
I thought it was.
Yeah, it's sort of quite restrained for Fats Waller, isn't it?
Very, very restrained. And lovely progressions in it, aren't
Yeah,
they?
it does. I know. That's the thing about Hoagie Carmichael songs. They all sort of have something, a little bit of juice. They're sort of just not quite sort of normal Tin Pan Alley stuff. It's
But a good idea. You know?
yeah. He just had this fertile imagination. Everything he wrote sort of had this elastic sort of idea.
A lot of originality.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anyhow, I've got another Fats lined up. There's quite a few in this batch. I pulled a few records off the shelf, and we say a warm hello to Mr. W, who's listening in. Gave me a signal report on 40.
Yes, indeed. I hope you will.
Yeah, and so we were both thinking of the Torch song at the same time. I have to say the Brother I Could Spare a Dime, because I think that it. Whenever I think of Depression era stuff, I always that song just wells up in me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is the Depression, just
before
you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Totally, it is. It's amazing. But that's a nice sort of synergy match there. Okay, well, let's hear some more. And what is it? What's the name of this one? I can't. It seems like the stop-start function on this SP10's gone south. So I've just got to do a needle drop. The name of the track is The Moon Is Low, and this record I think is in perfect condition, so we shouldn't have any problems. So here we go. Needle drop with hopefully a good result. Hello, more Fat Swallow. And yeah, he had such a great ensemble, didn't he? I can't remember the names of the other members of his trio, but they really rock, don't they?
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah, they sort of shared the same, sort of free spirit, I suppose. Yeah, good to hear. Always out for a little bit of fats.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing to think that, he died before the Second World War, or he died at the beginning of the Second World War. So he's a product of a much earlier time.
Looked after himself. He might have.
He probably
lived 10 years longer.
Yeah, I think he was only in his early 40s.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he lived to the full. He made the most of every moment. And
a very interesting doco by his son. I think you might have played it.
Yeah,
Tom.
we did, and sadly his son's still going. I think. I don't think he had any, not a lot of memories of his father.
Not a lot, but a few childhood ones.
Yeah. I don't think he was a very present force.
He was. He was present in other places.
Yes, he certainly was. Absolutely. That's what Yeah. Oh, just riffing through a pile of records here, Frank. What else have we got? Here we go. This is a bit of trad revival from the 40s. I wish I could shimmy like my sister Kate.
Oh, yeah. Shake it like jelly on a plate.
Yeah. There's an original version of this somewhere. I'll see if I can dig it up. It's quite interesting to hear the original of this, but I'll play this 1940s sort of revival. Muggsy Hispania was huge in the 20s. He was one of those sort of session trumpet players who did lots of work. Then he lived on and then sort of was a part of the trad revival in the 40s. And I think this is more of that time. But it's a good track. Record's a bit worn. I might try the other turntable. This one's not really working as well as it should. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a result. Okay, there we have Muggsy Hispania with some trad revival from the 40s. And I wish I could shimmy like my sister Kate.
Great name, Muggsy Spaniard.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds like a hoodlum.
Yeah, totally. He was one of those larger-than-life personalities, I think. Yeah, and but look, I was looking it up. I'm aware of this song. It goes way back. It's sort of Edwardian. I don't think it even had words to start with, but it was just one of those sort of early pieces in that proto-jazz period.
Oh, yeah.
And so I found a version here with the Georgians, and I'm aware of this. This is really quite remarkable because it's hot, and hot music from the early 20s is exceptionally rare, particularly by white bands, and and it's really at the node in the sense. It's drawing from all of the influences in a very direct way. And this is interesting. It's got sort of like comedic effects like tremolo, and you can sort of hear its vaudevillian antecedents.
Oh, boy.
It's quite fascinating. So, look, we'll cut back to the original, that recorded about 20 years before the version we just heard. So this goes back 100 and something mumble years ago. Got to get used to using the mumble suffix. Yes. And I noticed that Mr. Mumbles also uses mumble. Yeah, so
we like our mumbles.
We certainly do. Okay, here we go. The Georgians, back in 1922, an acoustic recording, and interesting stuff. The same tune, but a different phase. Isn't it interesting? It's proto-jazz. It's really early recording back in 1922. That's before Armstrong did all his
You notice how all of the vibrato was really fast.
Yes, that's right. It's almost sort of European.
Yeah.
And the sort of the influences are quite striking. I mean, when you think of I reckon there's almost a bit of klezmer in that as well.
I think so.
It's totally interesting. That early stuff those early recordings, they're just sort of so available to all of these sort of vaudevillian effects and what the black musicians were doing. I noticed, I've never heard this, I want to hear it. There's a recording here with Clarence Williams.
Yes.
Now, he was a black pianist and really important figure in the 20s. I don't know what happened to him. He sort of evaporated pretty early on. This would have had limited release. It's pretty rare. But I'm just keen to hear what he does with it in that decade. So, we'll hear Clarence Williams and his band. He had some amazing musicians go through his ranks too, the likes of Armstrong and others. But we'll just hear this, and this is a typical rabbit hole, isn't it?
Why not?
Why not? Let's have a listen. And take 3. I wish I could shimmy. Clarence Williams and the a really laid-back take with lots of sort of swagger. I love it. Love the pace of that, actually. Yeah, there we go. So, a few versions, lots of others. There's a sort of song that endured, really. I grew up with the version of Frank Traynor. Actually, my dad had a 45 of Frank Traynor and his band playing that song.
Yes, he was terrific.
Yeah, he was. But anyhow, I'm thinking I have to wind up operations.
Gaddy's just come in and told me that so do I.
Yeah, so
dinner is ready.
Yeah, fair enough. Now I need to go inside and sort of check what's going. I think I've got to do some taxi servicing tonight.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's always something to do here. But
Yes, I know.
yeah.
How you do it?
Oh, no, it's all good.
No.
I actually have everything set up to play a cylinder here, and I've got it all wound up and ready. Or maybe I'll wind with this. We'll play it. It's the Judaos Society Orchestra and Destiny Waltz. Now, I'm not sure of how well this is going to work because I didn't entirely test it properly. But we can give it a whirl, and if it skips around, people understand that it's playing live cylinders to air. It's not something we do every day. So, and it's a little bit of a tricky operation. So I'll do a needle drop. This is an Ambrol cylinder from about 1910.
Well, I'll sign.
Yeah. And
we'll
catch up. We'll see you, or maybe I should be around. Henry's got a concert tomorrow afternoon, and but I reckon I'll be back in time. So I might be late, but I'll see what I can do.
having the grandkids over.
Yeah, sure.
If I'll call you if I'm not going to be on.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Well,
you'll know if I'm not going to be on.
Totally.
I won't be there.
Yeah, exactly. That's all fine. No worries at all. And so, yeah, otherwise we should be back on board next weekend. We're back on, in a new term, new schedule and all of that. So that's the plan. What other news? No, I think hopefully tomorrow. If it may be a late start, that's the only thing. If I do get home late from the concert, if I'm not here, I'm not here. So there we go. There's a plan. So you have a great week, Frank. It's been good to catch up.
Likewise, Steve. Good to be back, and you have a great concert. And very best to Henry.
Thank you. I'll pass that on. Yeah, he just found out today he got into Cologne for a second audition.
It just keeps on getting
well,
better.
I don't know. It's hard work, and it's all unknown. It's just first round, So yeah.
Do they judge him on recordings?
Yeah, for the first round they do, and that's all the recordings he's been making with Kate. And so that's the first step, and then he's got to go there. He's got to go to Cologne. He's got to go to Europe, and he's got to present himself. But
see if he's real.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's really you that's doing it.
Exactly. So he's got to go and play to a high level, and which is not always easy under that sort of pressure going overseas just to do it. But anyhow, he's doing the best he can, and that's all he can do. Yeah. All right then. Thank you so much, Frank. We'll catch you soon.
And you, Steve, take care. Have a good week.
Yeah,
I don't
you too.
catch you tomorrow.
Absolutely. No worries.
Good evening to the listener.
And thank you, listeners.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for being there, being a part of the scene. All right, I'm just queuing the cylinder up. We'll see how it goes. It may skip because I haven't spent a lot of time lining it up, but alignment is king with these. But hopefully, here we go. And vk3sl. And we might do a bit of a fade there because our Destiny Waltz is not reaching the right destination. I'm sorry. It's a little bit jumpy. This is actually an Amberol cylinder. I'm trying to play direct to air. And what happens is that there's a plaster of Paris insert in these cylinders, and the plaster of Paris starts to swell, and it means that the thing gets slightly off center. So we have this issue. You can sometimes get round of it by putting a bit of weight on the head, but on the pickup. But I don't think it's going to work in this situation. But there are reams out there where you can sort of re-ream them and redeem the situation. So I wouldn't mind trying that at some point. But yeah, that's my little experiment. So yeah, an Edison Amberol cylinder from about 1912. It's quite well recorded. They sound amazing. They go at 160 revs, and I've got the situation where I set the cylinder player up and have the tone arm set on a skew and off the side of the turntable, and it just sort of plays it direct. So we sort of got through it, but excuse me, we got through it, but yeah, unfortunately the record is slightly off. What's the word? Yeah, it's not quite entirely round. So being a vertical cut record, it means that any vertical compliance issues are amplified tremendously. So anyhow, so what do I have? A Ford show. I'll wind up with a Ford show while I pack things up. This will go for about 30 minutes. And thanks again for listening, folks, and we'll look forward to your company next week. I'm vk3sl, and just a note that we are now going out on 40 metres as well as 160, and also on UHF and streaming online. So we have 4 platforms for our programs. Should be back tomorrow, but it may be a late start. We'll just see where the tide takes us. Otherwise, have a marvellous week. Thank you for listening.
It's the Ford Show! Company of Australia presents the Ford Show Orchestra, led by Bob Gibson, with Peggy Brooks, Ray Dixon, and Ted Hamilton, while your master of ceremonies is Hayes Good.
Our guest this week hails from New Zealand, and later on we'll be giving a big welcome to the blind multi-instrumentalist, Julian Lee. Tonight's curtain raiser for the Ford Show comes in a 3-way rhythm. Along with Peggy Brooks and Ray Dixon, here is a singing snapshot of High Society.
Hey there, honey, we haven't got much money. Our cupboard's almost bare, our clothes are old and funny.
Say there, honey, we don't need any money. Tonight we haven't got a care.
We're gonna be in high society. We'll strut on down to the finest part of town. I don't have rings and all those fancy things, but as long as you love me, I'm in high society.
You go get your hat, I'll put powder on my nose.
While I let in the cat, there's some windows you can close. The bed can stay that way. Put the dishes in the sink. Leave the ashes in the tray. I'll be ready in a wink. But as long as you love me, I'm in high society. The car with the big, better difference is Ford V8 Custom Line. In exclusive feature after feature, Custom Line has what other cars haven't.
For instance, only in Custom Line can you have the world-famous Ford-O-Matic drive. With this optional feature, you never push a clutch or move a gear lever. The Ford-O-Matic driver simply uses the accelerator to go and the brake to stop. And meeting every driving condition fully automatically, gears change so smoothly that the change is almost imperceptible. No other automatic transmission gives you Ford-O-Matic's absolute smoothness. There are two reasons. First, Ford-O-Matic's exclusive torque converter. Second, the superlatively smooth and flowing power of Custom Line's overhead valve V8 engine. Thus, Ford-O-Matic drive itself and the V8 power that operates it form an unequaled combination for smoothness. Two other optional features available only in Custom Line are Ford Power Brakes and Ford Power Steering. They too give you the world's latest in extra driving ease. Custom Line gives you more of everything that's new and better in motoring. In feature after feature, your Ford dealer will show you that in Custom Line you find what other cars haven't. A big, better difference indeed.
And now here's Ted Hamilton to give the latest melody from the current hits, Catch a Falling Star.
Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. For love may come and tap you on the shoulder some starless night. And just in case you feel you want to hold her, you have a pocket full of starlight. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. Never let it fade away. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Save it for a rainy day. For love may come and pat you on the shoulder some starless night. And just in case you feel you want to hold her, you'll have a pocket full of starlight. Pocket full of starlight. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. Never let it fade away. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Save it for a rainy day. For when your troubles start multiplying, and they just might, it's easy to forget them without trying. With just a pocket full of starlight, catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Save it for a rainy day. Save it for a rainy day. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day.
I think it's time we had a song from Peggy Brooks, something in her own sweet style. What'll it be, Peggy?
Thank you, Hayes. It's an old number, but one that's well remembered, I'm sure. Never in a million years.
That'll be lovely.
Never in a million years could there be another you. I would shed a million tears if ever we were through. greater glory, any greater thrill. No, never in a million years. There would be no world for me if ever we would part. Where I go, your name will be right on the tip of my heart. For only once in every lifetime, someone just like you appears. Is there any greater glory, any greater thrill? No, never, never, never in a million years.
Flopping of hooves, flickering gas flare on the fog-bound street, an air of mystery and intrigue in the Latin Quarter, the Rue Pigalle, or the seamy side of Soho. Here is the Ford Show Orchestra under Bob Gibson in a melodic portrait of the past, a little piece called simply The Hansom Cab. Guest star time at the Ford Show, and this week we present a young multi-instrumentalist from New Zealand. Pianist, saxophonist, trumpeter, vocalist, composer, and arranger is the remarkable list of abilities of our guests. And, ladies and gentlemen, this man is blind. So let's give a big welcome to Julian Lee. Julian Lee, welcome to the Ford Show.
Thank you very much, Hayes. Thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to be able to talk about your remarkable artistry, and I'd like to do that in just a moment. But first, a word about other things. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your blindness?
Not at all. If there's anything you want to know, Hayes, I'd be only too delighted.
Well, tell us, how long have you been blind?
Well, as long as I can remember, which is a fairly long time now, and it's getting longer every day, I'm afraid.
We realize, of course, that blindness doesn't always mean total blindness. You do have a percentage of vision, haven't you?
No, I haven't any vision at all, actually, Hayes.
None whatever?
None whatever.
Then how do you manage to do those remarkable arrangements?
Well, I have a very capable wife, as a matter of fact, and
a very lovely one, too.
We won't go into that. That's my prerogative, I think.
And you're both very lucky people.
Well, she actually writes all my manuscripts for me. She hasn't been doing it long, so if there are any mistakes in the score, fellas, well, just be reasonable.
Well, let's hear that score, shall we?
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down.
Why don't you trade 'em for a package of sunshine and flowers? If you want the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all the solo instruments you heard were played by our one man. And the Ford Show says thank you to our blind guest star, New Zealand's Julian Lee.
When you're the owner of a Ford-built motor vehicle of any type, you have a lasting asset in terms of performance, dependability, and top value for money. There's still another advantage in being a Ford owner. Wherever you live, wherever you drive, you'll find a nearby Ford dealer. He's a man with complete knowledge of your vehicle. He has stocks of genuine Ford parts and accessories. His staff is trained in Ford factories in the proper care of Ford-built units, and he has special factory-designed equipment to ensure that work is done efficiently and economically. Your nearby Ford dealer is a friend indeed. Get to know him and get the best in motoring.
For the musical roundup of tonight's program, Bob Gibson, the Ford Show Orchestra and Singers present a cavalcade of melodies from a Broadway smash hit, one of the draw cards of that mighty grand slam of musicals, Irving Berlin's Annie, Get Your Gun. And firstly, from Bob Gibson and the orchestra, I've Got the Sun in the Morning. Another irresistible little item from that spectacular saga of the Cowgirl of the Golden West. Who Do You Love, I Hope, from duo Peggy Brooks and Ray Dixon.
Who do you love, I hope?
Who would you kiss, I hope?
Who is it going to be? I hope it's me.
Who do you want, I hope?
And who do you need, I hope?
Who is it going to be?
I hope it's me. Is it the blondie who acted so shy? I saw that look in her eye.
Is it the butcher who brought you the steak? Say that it is and I'll die.
Who do you love, I hope?
Who would you kiss, I hope? Who is it going to be?
I hope, 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 I hope it's me.
Part of the fascination of Annie Get Your Gun lay on the contrasts of sheer vivacity and a certain quiet charm. Here's one of the more gentle song hits. The girl that I marry will have to be as soft and as pink as a nursery. The girl I'll call my own will wear satins and laces and smell of cologne. Her nails will be polished, and in her hair she'll wear a gardenia, and I'll be there instead of flitting. I'll be sitting next to her, and she'll purr like a kitten. A doll I can carry, the girl that I marry must be. Yes, Annie Get Your Gun was a true horse opera in the best sense of the word. The Wild West made glamorous with gay melodies and garnished by the subtle style of the master composer Irving Berlin. Peggy Brooks joins me now in a wistful little number. They say that falling in love is wonderful.
They say that falling in love is wonderful. It's wonderful. So they say.
And with a moon up above, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, like they tell you.
I can't recall who said it. I know I never read it.
I only know that falling in love is grand. And the thing that's known as romance is wonderful, wonderful in every way, like they say. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere do you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people like no people I know. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you open and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they've hung a star. Let's go on with our show. Let's go on with our show.
This week Ford Show featured as guest star multi-instrumentalist Julian Lee with Peggy Brooks, Ray Dixon, Ted Hamilton, the Ford Show Orchestra led by Bob Gibson, and your master of ceremonies was Hayes Gordon. The Ford Show is produced and directed by Darcy Fitzgerald. Bruce Menzies is speaking.
A reminder too, Bruce, listen for the Ford Show again at the same time next week, presented by Ford Motor Company of Australia. The Ford Show is broadcast over an Australia-wide network to our armed forces and shortwave listeners around the world through Radio Australia. So, until the same time next week, it's good night from... F-O-R-D. And remember, wherever you go, wherever you are, watch the Fords go by!